Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the episode of Forgotten Vehicles. In this one we're going to be talking about the rocket Voltic, but before we get into that, let's have a look at the Easter egg of the last video. I know I said in the last video that I was, just going to leave it up to you to decide what the Easter eggs were, and now Tardisco over here had a pretty sharp eye because he noticed that my dinghy was coming from my yacht because of the limo and the yacht. They were both added in the Executive and Other Criminals DLC. But I do want to show the other three comments that made me laugh pretty good. Apart from the Red Dead one, it's a little bit out of date right now at the time of recording because that was 2 weeks ago, and that comment back then was still valid, but now not so much in my opinion. But without further ado, let's dive into today's episode about the rocket Voltic. The rocket Voltic was first released in December of 2016 with the import and export DLC. As far as I remember, it's actually the very first time that we were able to unlock trade prices for new vehicles. Because the import and export DLC not only brought the rocket Voltic, but it also brought the Ruiner 2000, for example, which I'm sure if you still remember quite fondly. All you really had to do was just play a mission and you got a million discount. Now obviously you had to have an executive office for this, but overall you could save up quite a lot of money by simply just doing a few simple things, and the trend actually continued on much later down the line as well, and it's still happening till this day. But what makes the rocket Voltic so unique is the fact that it was the very first rocket powered vehicle inside of the game. It was, in my opinion, the footwork of a lot of the other vehicles that we got after that, such as the Vigilante, the Oppressor, and basically a lot more other vehicles. Inside of the import and export update, we also had something like the Ruiner 2000, which in itself is also a very unique vehicle. And sure, it's not as much forgotten, I would say, but I still want to kind of like include it in this one as a bit of a side note, because what wasn't cool about the fact that you could jump and deploy a parachute in a car. Sure, it has very powerful missiles at the same time, but if you take that away for a second, you can just see how much fun vehicles were actually added to GTA Online over the years. And the rocket Voltic is definitely one of those as well. Sure, you could argue that if you were to play a rocket Voltic race, all you're going to hear is this. But aside from that fact, whenever people were able to make their own rocket Voltic races, there were some very cool things done with it as well. And the vehicle itself, you get a gigantic rocket on the back on a vehicle that wasn't all that great when it first came out. I mean, the Voltic itself has been in the game since the start, and really the crazy things that you could do with it just made this car a lot of fun to drive. I mean, I think we all have very fond memories of when we first started to take the rocket Voltic for a spin. Personally, I never really bothered when it first came out. The reason for that really is because I was much more interested in the Ruiner 2000 because it looked really cool and it also had a parachute. I'm sure with the Ruiner 2000 there was many of you who have used it to glide all the way from Mount Chiliad all the way to Los Santos. And if you didn't, I'm sure you've seen a video or two of people attempting it. So in many ways, the import and export update was really like a groundwork of what we were going to get later down the line. And sure, you could argue it was for better or worse, but personally I think that if you get vehicles like the rocket Voltic, they're just super fun to play with. It's just a fun, innocent vehicle, and it wasn't really something that could be used for griefing or anything like that. It's just one of those vehicles that you would take out for a spin in free roam or whatever, or play one of the races that someone made, or Rockstar even if you like those races, and just have a good time with it. It's just one of those quote-unquote innocent vehicles. We don't really have an awful lot of those these days anymore because, I mean, there definitely was a period in GTA Online there was a lot of, let's just put a minigun and everything and give it rocket-powered fuel for no apparent reason whatsoever. But those are just some of my thoughts about the rocket Voltic and a little bit about the Ruiner 2000. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below as well. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all later.